Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Team CBER, for coordinating with someone as less organized as me and to allowing me to present today. And I'm Ananya Banerjee. I'm a lecturer and doctoral researcher at Falmouth University. And today I'll be presenting my paper that's named Further Research Need in Sustainable Business Models of Startup Incubators in Emerging Economies, a pathway for economic growth. Because of time constraints, I'm just going to whiz you through the presentation. Just to introduce, entrepreneurship is widely recognized as an essential driver of economic development, as the creation of new businesses has become a vital component for economic health. They are crucial for job creation, innovation, and the revitalization of local economies. Based on this information, my study puts forward the hypothesis that further research into sustainable business models within startup incubators is crucial for enhancing the effectiveness and impact of these entities on the entrepreneurial ecosystem, especially in emerging economies. In terms of methodology, I have adopted a mixed methodology. It includes a comprehensive literature review as well as online research methods, including some case studies. This dual approach allows me not only find conclusions from academic research, but also include industry and organizational insights. Furthermore, something very close to my heart, I have kept the language for this paper as well as everything else in my continuing project in very simple language and phrases in order to decolonize this research to make it easily understandable by both native and non-native English speakers, which I am one of. In terms of startups, who are startups? So new businesses are important for resilience of both emerging and developed economies. So that's not specific to emerging economies, but startups could be defined from literature as new businesses that is an actual type of firm or working practice, those who receive privileged treatment through economic policy. So they're basically new, modern, and often involve innovation. Some of the main characteristics could include innovation, being in a very high risk and uncertain environment, looking at scalability, have flexible structures, and fostering the culture of experimentation. To be more specific about these characteristics and how they are new businesses, but a little bit different from new businesses as well, or more specific new businesses, they often focus on scalability, really rapid scalability and growth. For example, the way Uber grew and transformed the sector. They also look into innovative business models or technologies to completely revolutionize different market paradigms. For example, how Amazon completely changed the way we look at e-commerce the way it is right now. They are also often heavily reliable on external funding from venture capitals, angel investors. Just to give you an example, one of the UK startups, Netomnia, in technology sector has raised 734 million pounds of investment so far. So what do they do with so much scalability? They disrupt existing markets. Airbnb disrupted the hotel industry within the hospitality industry, and they are often designed with an exit strategy within itself, and they focus on providing this exit within the few years of operation. Just to give you an example, Instagram was acquired by Facebook, which is now called Meta. So as you can see, what I'm trying to say is all startups are new businesses, but all new businesses are not startups. And to foster startups, it requires different type of fostering and help and support from the ecosystem. And two of the main drivers of this support system are incubators and accelerators. Now, so far in research, what we have seen is incubators and accelerators have been used, these words have been used interchangeably. And in fact, Bone had identified there was a lack of research, clarified research that identifies incubators and accelerators separately. Now, as incubators are the first port of call for any entrepreneur starting or planning to start a startup, and they help these organizations at their formation stages, this study has looked into only incubators. They provide several important support elements to startups. They provide mentorship, networking, access to capital, which is quite crucial to startups, and also educational resources. So back when I was a startup fellow at National Entrepreneurship Network, I was teaching across 3 incubators in India on educational resources. So these startups, why then am I saying that sustainability matters in these specific startups? Because they help incubators help startups that then help economies, and sustainability of startup incubator then is of paramount importance because they can then continue to be effective in supporting these new businesses, high growth new businesses. And fostering a culture of sustainability, incubators can also instill these values in the startups that they support, which can lead to a more responsible entrepreneurial ecosystem. In fact, Bexel specifically noted that aligning incubator operations with UN SDGs, specifically Goal 9, can significantly enhance their impact on local and global economies. Now, am I just spinning a story? No. From my limited research scope, I have found one of the case studies for startup incubator, that is Technology Business Incubator, TBI, within IIT Madras in India. So TBI is economically sustainable and viable, but on top of that, they have also actively contributed towards the planet and people. So they sit within a sustainable campus that saves water, uses renewable energy. They help clean tech startups, so actively foster sustainability within their startup ecosystem. And they also work with partners to work with the community to increase concept and understanding and acceptance of sustainability. And this has resulted in quite a lot of benefit for them. They have had access to significant amount of funding, which they could then help their startups with more effectively. They are industry leaders in their area, so they have been able to increase their reputation. And more importantly, they have been able to create jobs and affect economic development in Chennai, demonstrating that economic viability of sustainable business models exist. So this case study shows that a more holistic, sustainable business practice approach that include all 3 Ps, profit, planet, and people, are necessary. Now, I'm not saying that there are no challenges in there. There are challenges. There are challenges around the implementation costs related to sustainability measures. There are challenges around globally accepted standards. So we have different standards, different way of looking at sustainability, but not one thing, one solution fits all, or not one thing that everybody accepts. And also, although regulations exist, but in emerging economies, the regulations are not as robust to kind of help them show the way. They can support them, but they can't show the way yet. So that is why specifically this study identifies the further research need. Through this research need, we can look into the sustainable business models, not only to help the incubators, but also to help the startups by creating a ripple effect. So if incubators know how to be more sustainable, they can immediately share the knowledge to the startups, who can then create a more sustainable entrepreneurial ecosystem. The business landscape, especially in emerging economies, due to technological advancement, consumer preferences, keep changing really fast. And sustainable business models will enable these startups to adapt to these changes and seize the new opportunities much faster. It is not just a buzzword anymore. It's needless to say, but also these sustainable business models can actually deal with climate change or resource depletion or social inequality that exists in emerging economies. But more specifically, they can foster inclusive entrepreneurship. They can champion marginalized communities within entrepreneurial ecosystem, like women, rural populations, and bringing them in rather than keeping them excluded. It can also empower entrepreneurs by providing them with the knowledge and tools necessary to develop these sustainable practices beyond just these organizations. But it's not just that. We all know that incubators help startups in the short term. That has been proven. But right now, very limited study exists that looks into the long-term impact of these support organizations. So understanding these sustainable business models and understanding these incubators through further research will allow us to look into that long-term impact. Again, I'm not saying that this is completely unexplored. I'm saying this area is underexplored. So more research is needed in there. After looking into these different areas, looking into case studies online and looking into literature, this hypothesis could be concluded to say that further research is quite necessary.
You have just 1 minute left. Just 1 minute.
Yeah. Further research is necessary. But then again, this study has its own limitation. And the own limitation is the fact that this is online research and literature review. So it doesn't look in depth into interviews and detailed case studies. And also it specifically looks into incubators and doesn't look into the bigger ecosystem. Now, in conclusion, I can say that research on startup incubators in emerging economies is crucial, particularly in the context of sustainable business model. And this kind of research would not only help tailor incubation programs, but also contribute to sustainable development of these economies. Now, thank you so much for offering me this opportunity. If you want to discuss with me or collaborate, please email me at ananya.banerjee@falmouth.ac.uk. Thank you.